Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here, KJRadio.com. My book is Race Pimping. Get it at racepimping.com. And if you want to have the show anytime you want, KJRadio.com. So I mentioned the depiction of blacks from a message I got from Kathy. It says, ask the question, where's the outrage of the black community by the depiction of blacks as violent, ignorant, immoral, father-denying males, and women as immoral, stupid, slovenly, crude females on all the talk shows and the, quote, judge shows? And I would turn that back on to Kathy and say, Kathy, aren't you outraged at the depiction of whites? And she might say to me, well, Kevin, how are whites depicted? And I go, well, you know, they certainly don't. There's some of that on the shows and things like that. She mentioned, by the way, MC Hammer coming out from the fireplace to do a commercial. And it's an interesting way to look at MC Hammer, is that, you know, it's a very bad depiction of him. But he's Hammer Time, and the commercial is don't hammer the nail into the mantle. Use this Scotch, this 3M product or whatever. I've used them in my house, not because MC Hammer's there, but because I'm renting a place and I don't want to put nail holes in the wall that I got to fix later. But I understand the correlation between Hammer Time and that. So I don't like, to me, that wasn't the right one. But the lady who does the Popeyes commercial, that might be one. Ooh, love me some Popeyes.
I just found out or just realized that I love Popeyes chicken. Not because I'm black, but because of the new spokesperson. That chick make you just want to eat chicken all day. You know what I'm talking about? Why when you sell chicken and you always got to change your voice in the commercial? It's always like, girl, you gonna love my chicken. With 11 herbs and spices at a low price of $4.99, you gonna love my chicken, girl. And I know she didn't audition with that voice. She probably went to a nice acting school. She tried to read it her way. It was like, read this Popeyes commercial. She was like, girl, you're gonna love my chicken. With 11 herbs and spices at a low price of $4.99, you're really gonna love my chicken, girl. They was like, we ain't gonna sell no chicken with that voice. You got one more chance, girl. You gonna love my chicken. You do it. You gonna love my chicken, girl. With a low price, all the numbers gotta go. Low price of $4.99. With a low price of $4.99, you gonna love my chicken, girl.
Welcome back. So, we as comedians, you depict this stuff. You observe these things, and you make note of it and you make fun of it. And that's why I love comedy, because you can find these things that don't make sense, and you say, okay, I'm going to make some fun of this. But I want to go back to what I was saying to Kathy and others, whites. How are whites depicted? Yes, we don't do chicken commercials. People don't do chicken commercials for white folks like that. And so I think people understand that, but there's still a depiction of white people that's going on right now, and people just dismiss it. It's like, okay, you're depicted as money hungry, step over anybody to get ahead, especially minorities, and I could go on. Is this a true depiction of whites? Let me ask Kathy the question this way, and I'm not picking on her, because she was right to ask, Kevin, where's the outrage of blacks? But I would say, where's the outrage of white folks? I'm not here to try to sound like, what's the black dude that Dave Chappelle did? I forget his name, but I'm not here to be the spokesperson for white people, but you people are being beat up, beat down, completely discriminated against, and all of it for the sake of some leftist that wants to feel like they're helping black people by beating up on white folks. And I'm going, where's y'all's outrage? Where's the outrage where people talk about white privilege and white this or white that? The average person, white person that I know, is not a person of privilege, unless, and I've jokingly said in a tongue-in-cheek way, unless whole families are privileged. Because that's the one thing where white folks certainly have it over black people, is having a daddy in the home. But outside of the things that let's face it, black people can control. Black women can find the right men and have men in their families, have fathers in their children's lives. They choose not to do it. How's that a white person's problem? And by the way, if it is a white person's problem, let me tell you whose white problem it is. It's a white enabling progressive leftist Democrats who've done that. So if you want to blame somebody, don't blame Reagan. Don't blame Trump. Don't blame you and me. But I am asking this question of whites because Tucker Carlson noted something that's in the Chinese community, if you will, and the Chinese get it. See, they're observational people. They're not stupid. And there's this thing called Whoobazoo that they say in Mandarin, and it's essentially white left. And I want to play this clip and let Tucker explain Whoobazoo, and maybe this will help Kathy answer this question for herself.
Well, the Chinese have a new insult you often see in online political arguments between Mandarin speakers. The word is Whoobazoo. Its literal translation is white left, according to political scientist Chen Zhang, who wrote about the term in a recent Open Democracy piece. Members of the white left are, in the view of the Chinese, quote, biased, elitist, ignorant of social reality, and constantly applying double standards. They only care about topics like immigration, minorities, LGBT, and the environment, and have, quote, no sense of real problems in the real world. They're people obsessed with political correctness to the extent they, quote, tolerate backward Islamic values for the sake of multiculturalism. And on top of that, they say, the white left, quote, pity the rest of the world and think they are saviors. Sounds like the Chinese are watching pretty carefully. The term first became popular 2 years ago to describe Angela Merkel and her decision to welcome more than 1 million third world immigrants to Europe. Chinese students and job seekers complained they had to work very hard to stay in Europe, while unskilled migrants could simply show up, claim asylum, and get welfare. Chinese immigrants to the U.S., meanwhile, see themselves penalized by affirmative action and wonder why they're paying the price for historic wrongs that other people committed, which is not a crazy question, by the way. One Chinese internet user described the white left as, quote, a spiritual epidemic that will destroy the West and destroy China, too, if it were foolish enough to follow their lead. As Donald Trump once noted of the Chinese, they're laughing at us. He may have been more right than he knew.
There you have it, folks. So, Whoobazoo, white left, the Chinese, very observational people, all the styles of kung fu that they studied by looking at the praying mantis and the tiger and the monkey, drunk monkey, etc. And so they are observing what's happening in the West, what's happening all over Europe. And they're saying to themselves, that's idiotic. They know it. It goes against human nature. It's sad when communists are able to look at your culture and go, they even realize you're headed in the wrong direction. Why? Because they get it. They understand where they are. The Chinese government understands that unless it embraces some mixture that involves the capitalist system, they can't survive. That's why there's a growing Chinese middle class. I lived there. So for those of you who think I'm just speaking out of turn, I've lived there. There's a growing middle class that can get bigger if they embrace our cultural ideals and not leftism.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.